Hi friends, my name is Miss Jessica and today we will be doing a read aloud about Sacagawea. Before we get started, I want to explain who Sacagawea is. Sacagawea was an interpreter for Lewis and Clark. Here is a picture of Sacagawea, and here is a picture of Lewis and Clark. An interpreter is someone who helps people understand others because of a language difference. So, Sacagawea was an interpreter for Lewis and Clark during an expedition. An expedition is a trip that people take in order to explore a place or something important. Okay, let's get started with this read aloud. I Am Sacagawea by Brad Meltzer. I am Sacagawea. What do people expect of you? Your family, your teachers, your friends. Do they expect you to be a good person, to do well in school, to keep your room clean? People had different expectations of me. In fact, they didn't expect much at all. Why? It was a different time in America back then. They didn't think much of people who looked like me, someone who was a girl, someone who was young, someone who was Native American. When I was born, the United States was still a brand new country. George Washington was becoming president. But my people, my tribe. A tribe is a Native American tribe are groups of people who share the same culture, language, and customs. My tribe, which was called the Shonaushi, had already lived here for thousands of years. This is my father. He was chief of our village. This is my brother. We lived in what is now called Idaho. The United States was so young that Idaho didn't exist. The snow is arriving. It is time to move on. The winter came. The women of our village would pack up our lodges, our homes made of brush we lived in during certain times of the year. In spring and summer, the whole village would move to an area where there was better fishing. In fall or winter, we moved to a different area for different food. When I was around 12 years old, our Shonaushi tribe was attacked by another tribe. They captured me and took me back to their village. From there, I was given to a French-Canadian man and I became his wife. That's when I was given the name you know me by, Sacagawea. So no one knows her real name? That's right. And she was only 14 when she was married? That's how life was back then. War captives were treated like property, something that could be given away, but luckily for me, my life was about to change. I am Mayweather Lewis, and I am William Clark. We are explorers, and we need an interpreter, someone who can help us speak to other Native American tribes, like the Hibatsi and Shonaushi. I speak Hibatsi, and my wife speaks Shonaushi. I wonder how important it will be that Sacagawea speaks the Shonaushi language. At the time I was pregnant, when the baby came, it would be hard to travel, but I didn't have a choice. That's how things were back then. Besides, Lewis and Clark had a mission. A mission from President Thomas Jefferson. Today, the United States looks like this, but back then, the U.S. only had 17 states, only the blue part. Thomas Jefferson had made a deal called the Louisiana Purchase, where he bought the big yellow part in the middle from France. The whole area had never been explored by the United States government. There were so many mountains we didn't know if we could even get through. So our goal was to examine the land, open trade relations with the Native Americans, and find a safe path from here to the Pacific Ocean. But the only way to make it happen was with a translator who could speak to Native Americans who were already living there. It was harder than you think. To talk to a Native American, I would translate what they said into Hibatsi, a tribe language that my husband spoke. Then, since he didn't speak English, he would translate the Hibatsi into French. Then, a member of the team would translate the French into English for the captains Lewis and Clark. What did he say? He wishes you harmony on your journey. By the time we were ready to leave, my son was born. Clark gave him the nickname Pomp, after a Roman general. It was meant as a joke, like calling a child commander. A commander is the person that is in charge of the tribe. Of It was dangerous to take a newborn baby into the wilderness. Of course it was. But we didn't have a choice. I wasn't even considered an equal part of the team. That's how things were back then. In April 1805, the Corps of Discovery set out from my village to explore the great uncharted land. There were a few dozen men. I was the only girl, the only female teenager, the only one with a baby, and the only Native American. Lewis and Clark thought it would be a 1-year trip. They had no idea what they were getting into. Today, people say I was a guide, but my real job was as an interpreter. Soon enough, though, Lewis and Clark realized I had many other skills. My people lived on this land. I knew its secrets. With a sharp stick, I'd find wild artichokes that mice had buried into the ground. I'm hungry. There's nothing to eat out here. Wait, why is she pointing? She's saying those are roots, and fruits are safe. We can eat them. We can eat these too? Look at all these berries she found. These are amazing. It wasn't just food though. This was my land. My people lived here for centuries. I understood the passageways. Which turn should we take? She says that one. How does she know? She recognizes that mountain, the one that looks like a beaver's head. That means her tribe has been here before. This is the right path. In their journals, Lewis and Clark spelled my name 8 different ways. Sacagawea, 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 and Sacagawea. Sometimes they called me Snake Woman or Bird Woman, but over time they learned exactly who I was. Our expedition had never seen a Shinashi war party. A battle could have started, but instead of fighting, both sides began to talk. Sometimes, even without words, you can communicate peace. Soon after they had invited us to meet their chief, that's when I saw my brother, my sister. It was wonderful to see my people again. We traded with them, giving them supplies and even a medallion from Thomas Jefferson. In return, they gave us horses, helping us prepare for our journey through the mountains. I'm thinking Sacagawea being there helped the explorers because they needed horses in order to explore the rest of the land. Eventually, though, it was time to leave. The next part of your trip will be difficult. You'll be going to places where you won't know the land. You'll meet tribes where you won't know the language. Lewis and Clark really don't need you anymore. So may I ask, sister, why are you going with them? Why not stay here with your family? To this day, no one knows the answer. Some say it was because we still had more to explore. Some say it was because I felt like I was part of the team. Some say I was inspired by the adventure. One thing was certain, the mission was not done. So what would you do? The trip was never easy. We faced grizzly bears. We were hit by hail and flash floods. We ate candles to keep from starving. I even got extremely ill. She's sick. She's a fighter. That winter, our Corps of Discovery had to decide where to build our camp. Usually, the decision was made by the men in charge, but for once, we'd like to know what you think. We need everyone to vote. Including me? Yes, Sacagawea, including you. The final decision rested with Lewis and Clark, but on that day, my vote was casted like everyone else on the team. Did our expedition ever reach the Pacific? Yes, it did. Part of our group hiked to the water earlier than the rest and sent word back. They saw a whale. I want to go to see the whale. Not just the whale. I wanted to see the ocean, which I'd never seen before. Eventually, I did. In the end, our Corpse of Discovery traveled over 2,000 miles. It took a year and a half by boat, horse, and foot. I was the only girl, the only teenager, and the only one with a baby. And I was the only Native American. In my life, people underestimated me since I was a girl. They expected me to be weak. Since I was young, they expected me to be inexperienced. And since I was Native American, they expected to treat me unfairly. That's how things were back then, but that's not how they should ever be. Native American people define themselves by their stories. You know my story now. It's time for you to write your own. Don't let someone else limit you. As Chief Moinaki of Yakama tribe says, we can only be what we give ourselves power to be. At the end of the expedition, Sacagawea's husband was paid $533.30 and given 230 acres of land, and his wife, Sacagawea, was paid nothing. That's not fair. Today, there are dozens of people, landmarks, and poems, songs, and even rivers named after her. Remember when she saved all of the supplies during the expedition when it happened? They named the river after her. Today, in Montana, it's still called the Sacagawea River. She is the first Native American woman to have her own statue in the U.S. Capitol. She even got her own coin, the Sacagawea dollar. But since there's no pictures of her, this picture on the coin is a picture of a woman from Sacagawea's tribe. Did she really make the whole trip with her baby? Look at the coin and look at the statue. Baby Pomp is on both. Without Sacagawea's bravery and knowledge, the Lewis and Clark expedition might not have been completed. Thanks to her, they were able to create maps, engage other Native Americans' cultures, and find a route to the Pacific. Do you know what it means to navigate something? It means finding your way. Wherever you go in life, whatever mountains you climb and challenges you face, find your own way. Make your own path. Shatter expectations. That's what I've always done. I am a girl, I am a teenager, I am a mother, I am a Native American, and I am powerful. I am Sacagawea, and I will blaze my own trail. The end. Thank you so much, friends. I hope you enjoyed this read aloud. Now, I would like you to grab your English journals, and I would like you to write 2 to 3 sentences stating an experience or an exploration that you would like to take one day. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this read aloud. Bye, friends.